Good morning, everyone. For our next project, depending on what option you selected, if you selected option 1, that's the instructions that we're going to go over. If you selected one of the other two options, please view the video in those options modules. So this option, of course, is the band, and what we're going to be working on next is the album artwork. So if you go into Classroom, you'll see some written instructions, and I'm going to go ahead and pull those up and just kind of go over what you're going to include in your album artwork. So there's some requirements here. First of all, let me tell you, you are going to be working with industry standard templates. In fact, the Digipack CD case template you're using is the same I've used for album artwork for one of the bands I've created an album for. And so you're going to be creating both the case and the disc. There are some other options if you look in Classroom for vinyl and cassette if you would like a more bigger challenge, but they're not going to be like the CD case and disc art. So if you don't need a bigger challenge, then this CD and disc art will be more than enough, I'm sure. But I'm going to go over that in a minute. I have both those templates combined into one for this project to help you out. So one thing that you will notice if you ever look at album artwork is the front usually has the band's logo somehow incorporated into it, along with some other artwork or a photo or something. And sometimes it'll have the title for the album. On the side of the CD case, there's usually some spine information, so it'll just usually be kind of small, and it'll just say the name of the band and the title of the album, maybe the record label. And then you have, of course, the back, which usually has a track listing. Sometimes you have the track listing on the inside as well. And of course, it's also incorporated along with artwork in the background, or sometimes you have little photos put in there or whatever. And I encourage you to take a look at some album artwork on Google for some bands you like and see what they did to maybe get some inspiration for yourself. There's also usually in a Digipack, there's usually a clear tray that the CD sits in, so that you can have a background image or artwork inside behind the CD. And then there's a label for the CD. The CD itself, sometimes it's just a background, just some sort of color with it, or there could be like a gradient or a texture, or there might be a track listing on the CD, or another, the band's logo and the title of the album again on there. So again, look at Google some images of album artwork, and I'm sure you will find some good examples on there. I also have some examples in Classroom. So when you get rolling on this, I'm going to get rid of this. This is an old thing that might be for the next project. And hold on, let me just edit this really quick. This should be one project grade for you guys. So you're going to be graded on both the Digipack template and the CD, which is all built into one template now. If you decide you're going to do sketches, which I highly encourage, these are the things you'd want to sketch: the front cover, back cover, inside panel, and inside behind the disc, as well as the CD. So there's going to be 5 different things you're going to be working on, and some of them will be really quick, some of them not so quick. So sometimes it's good to have some sketches down so you have something to work from. And if you do that, again, I will give you some extra credit for doing that. And the grading's down here. I'm not going to go into that because you can read on your own. What I do want to do is go over the templates, because there's a lot with that. So if you go back into Classroom, you'll see there's a thing that says Album Artwork, Photoshop, and Photopea, and there's one for Illustrator. And you're going to see they both look the same. In fact, I used the same image that I took from the original template and put it into the Illustrator. I worked in Photoshop every time I did this, but Illustrator might be a good option for some of you, especially if you worked with Illustrator more this term or this year. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the Photoshop Photo P one and download it. And I'm going to open it in Photo P first and just go over it. And then for Illustrator and Photoshop, I'll show you guys, but I'm not going to go over it because Photo P, pretty much what I'm going to show you in there is what you would do in Photoshop, and in Illustrator, what you would do in there is not like Photoshop, but it's, you know, going to be the same basic. You're going to be working over this template. So I'm going to go ahead I'll download this and go ahead into Photo P and go to File, Open. And when I do that and go into my downloads and get it, you're going to see in Photo P, this is what it looks like. And you can zoom in by pressing Control plus. And in fact, the way I set this up, it used to be we would design directly on the template, but I set everything up as what's called smart objects, which we haven't gone over too much, but what smart objects allow you to do, if you look in the layers, you'll see these little things that have little squares in the right corner, and that indicates those are smart objects. I also have a layer called guides, which you can turn off and on, and that's what those little lines are. And a little bit about the actual template, you'll see green line, which is indicating kind of where things are safe within. So if you have text and things like that outside of that area, there's a possibility it could get accidentally cut or folded in the wrong place or whatever. And so this is kind of a safety zone. Same thing with the disk. You'll see a green dotted line that's indicating anything that you want completely visible, you want within those lines. The pink lines are where normally, like the dash lines are where it would be folded and cut if it's solid. And so this is kind of the template we're working with. There's also this blue line which indicates what's called bleed. And what bleed is basically a little extra room for your background in case things get cut a little bit too far out. And if that happens, if you don't have bleed, sometimes you get a weird like white line. But I made it easy for you. You really don't have to account for all that. I did the work for you by creating these smart objects. So the way these work is you just go in and double click. And when you double click, you'll open up another tab. As you can see up here at the top, we got album artwork and we got rectangle 1, which in this case, it's just the spine. So in here, I went ahead and put some text in here where you could edit it. You can change the font and all of that stuff. And so I'm going to just go in here and call this, I'll just call the band example. So I'm going to type in here, example, and then for the album title, I'll go ahead and click in there and type in example album. And then all I have to do, if I want to put in a background color, I can. In fact, if you have background colors on the front and back, probably want to try to match it. So what I'm going to do is I'll just pick some sort of light color just so I can show you what it would look like. And when I fill that in, use the paint bucket on that. And then I'm done with that. If I go to File, and then Save Smart Object. Remember, File, Save Smart Object. Then it will update in the other album over here, in the actual other file here. And I can turn on the little eyeball here, and you can see that's what I just put together. Now, the next one is there's a CD design. There's the back cover, front cover, behind CD, and all that. I'm just going to go over one of these really quick, and then just kind of explain the rest, and then I'll let you take over. But for front cover, if I double click on that, I'll just put in some stuff here. I put in the same background color. I might have put in a picture instead or something like that. And I'm going to find something to add in here really quick, and we'll just call it my logo. We'll put the school's logo on here. So I got to actually, instead of going and dragging and dropping like I can in Photoshop, I have to open it in a separate window. So I'm going to do that. I'll just grab this, where was it? Right here. And I'm going to go select all, edit, copy, and then go into front cover again. I can close out of that since I'm done. And then I can go edit, paste, and then I can put in other text and stuff like that using the tools that you've learned how to use. I'm not going to go over all that right now, but I just want to show you how this works. So now, if I go File, Save Smart Object, and then close out of this, if I turn on my little light, my little eyeball here, you can see there is the front cover and the spine already built into the template. And so you can see how easy that is. Now you'll notice this stuff is upside down, and that's on purpose because when actual printer is working on this, they use one big flat piece of cardboard that they're printing to, and they fold it. So if you look at a Digipack CD case, you'll usually see it's folded over on one side and glued together. And then the tray is simply a piece of plastic that's kind of glued down on top of that. And so what I did in the template here is I made it so that the smart objects are turned upside down. They aren't when you work on them, but when you bring them back, when you save them and everything, it automatically flips them for you. So if I go to, I'll go inside left now, and double click that, and I'm just going to really quick type something so you can see what I mean. I'll fill that in too. So I'll just type in upside down, upside down. And if I go ahead and save smart object and X out of that and then turn my little eyes back on, you can see it's upside down. And so I've also made it so that you can see the disc in the actual tray. If you want to turn that on, there's this thing that says CD in tray. And CD design is going to take care of both that and CD in tray. So that's basically what you're going to work on for this project. You're going to complete all these templates, or all these smart objects. You're going to go ahead and do your design directly in them. And then when you're done, you'll have an entire CD design and the case template, and we would actually be able to mock that up, which we're going to do that as a future project. So that's pretty much this project. In Illustrator and Photoshop, it's just a matter of opening the template, and you'll see Photoshop, it's the same setup as Photopea, as what I just discussed. And in Illustrator, if I can get it open, there you go. If I got to download that one, sorry. If I go into Illustrator, the Illustrator template, I can, whoops, I got to right click, open link in new tab, and then download it. And the way I set this up is I made artboards over each of the different parts, and you can actually see that over here in artboards. Everything's labeled, so if you click on the artboard, or if you just start designing directly on it, you'll be in that area. So there's no smart objects in this, it's just the guides, and so you'll have to do your design directly on this, and that's how the Illustrator works. Again, I can't urge you enough, make sure you save frequently, and if you're in Photopea, make sure that you save and upload your work in progress to Google Classroom. That way you can come back and work on it if you lose it from your own Chromebook. You might want to do the same thing if you're working with a desktop in Photoshop or Photoshop or Illustrator, but it's not as necessary because we don't tend to lose things as much on our student stations as we do with the Chromebooks. So that's it. Have a good day.